spirits will torment you when you do not forgive people from your heart who hurt you. It'll be like you're imprisoned because they will give you all these thoughts. And it was interesting. After a couple of years of doing the ministry, I was in Boise, Idaho, getting my oil changed, which I frequently did because I'm traveling all over the place. And the Lord spoke to me and he said, how many thoughts a day do you think the average person has? I'm like, I don't know. How would anybody know that? He said, Google it. You'll find it. So I Googled how many thoughts a day does the average person. And I found in 2005, the National Science Foundation did a study, and they found that the average person had 12,000 thoughts a day, of which 80% are negative. 95% same thoughts as the day before. The Lord said those are largely coming from demons. Those demons keep reminding people in their thoughts all the bad things that people said and did their entire life.
That's good.
Because they didn't forgive. So they're tormented. Makes sense.
So their unforgiveness perpetuates their unforgiveness.
Yeah.
Their unforgiveness perpetuates and strengthens their bondage.
Absolutely.
So the longer you don't forgive, the more tormented you are.
Absolutely. And the torment's not only the thoughts you get from the demonic spirits, which mentally can cause you to have lots of challenges, but also can be physical. The Lord also reminded me to search this, and I'd never heard of it before. It goes, search to find out the correlation between unforgiveness and cancer.
My gosh.
I'm like, okay.
Say it.
So I ended up searching, and I found that there was a study done by Dr. Stephen Standiford, also a pastor, that they found that there was a correlation that adults who had cancer, that 60% of them was due directly to unforgiveness. 50% they had severe unforgiveness. So when someone does us wrong and hurts us, if we don't forgive, we can then be poisoning ourselves and get these sicknesses and diseases. And when I found that, I'm like, are you kidding me? And I remember I talked about it for the first time, and there's a whole bunch of people that didn't like it, but I'm like, I'm sorry. Don't shoot the messenger. This was a study that was done. So it's a powerful statement to saying, okay, well, and people think that forgiveness is just letting them get off the hook. That's another thing. That's not what it is.
Come on, talk to us.
What it is getting your anger and your vengeance and your ruminating and all that you have sickness in your stomach from because you're so mad and you're so angry and you're plotting and you're trying to come against them, and you're giving that to Jesus, saying, here you go, you take it. I'm going to forgive them for what they did. Doesn't mean that you have to reconcile with the person. That's ridiculous. Why would you do that if they're going to hurt you or wound you again? So you just come away from that person, but you give them to the Lord instead of spending years trying to get back at them. And that's where and there's so many people in the church that do that. So,
but you talk about this because sometimes I feel like some people feel like they've let them go when they don't wish them harm, like they don't wish that they would die. Mm-hmm. But there's something in them that's kind of like, but still there's this microaggressive kind of unforgiveness that's just like, something's still there. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. So people will ask me that. How do you know when you're forgiven?
Mm-hmm.
Well, big thing is you won't even think about them anymore. You won't even think about them. You've forgiven them. No big deal. And in many cases, you have to really think about what they did. There's people that, have been hurt. They were kids by their fathers and mothers. That's the first source that most of our hurts are coming from. Fathers, mothers, and stepfathers, stepmothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents. And if you're still talking about it now, and let's say that you're 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, you've not forgiven.
I'm sending this video to somebody.
You've not, because you're still dwelling upon it. And the demons will keep giving you thoughts to join in, to get you to ruminate. Well, you remember what they said. And oftentimes people can remember in the voice and the tone that it was spoken to them. And it's 20, 30, 40, 50 years later. So they've not forgiven. Things that when a person's truly forgiven, you have to really remember. There's stuff that, happened to me 4 or 5 years ago. I don't remember it. I have to really think about it. If I don't have it written down, if I wrote it down, then I can go back and say, oh, yep, this is exactly the sequence of events. But a person that's truly forgiven doesn't think about it anymore. And in fact, they could even pray for him. Go the extra mile. I mean, it does have a Bible reference to that we should pray for our enemies, you
Yes.
know. And in fact, I know the pastor that went to hell and came back, he said, I wouldn't wish my worst enemy to go to
Come
hell.
on.
And I'm like, Lord, though, you probably need to take some of these people to hell to show them what they're getting into if they refuse to forgive. Because unforgiveness is the number one reason why people have demonic strongholds.
Say it
I've,
again.
I've done thousands of sessions with people. Unforgiveness is the number one reason why they're getting tormented and why there's sickness in their lives, because they're angry and they're bitter, and these demonic spirits keep giving them thoughts. And then what do? They trigger on their current relationships. They get over exaggeratedly angry or bitter over nothing, really.
What about the whole trying to protect ourselves and the distrust that we create once we've been hurt? Then
Hmm?
we go into another relationship like paranoid
Yeah.
and ready to kind of kick out the first person
Yeah.
that attempts to even try to
Yeah.
love us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're not healed of those hurts and wounds, we will trigger on our current relationships because it'll feel like the same thing that we went through. So that's why a person gets hurt and wounded as a child,
Come on.
and 99% of them aren't healed and aren't delivered. So they're also getting tormented by demonic spirits in their minds, getting all these thoughts all the time. And then it causes them to get into relationships with people that generally aren't healed and aren't delivered.
Come on. Come
So
on.
they're going to come together and they're going to fight. They're going to trigger and they're going to be like, oh no, I got hurt again. And then they want to be loved. So then they go on to another relationship. And if that person's not healed and delivered, then they both trigger on each other again. And they're like, oh no, here we go again. So that's why it's important to take a time out, get yourself healed, get yourself delivered. Because when you go through that process, it takes a whole lot to cause you to trigger now because you got those wounds healed. So you won't be feeling those feelings or hearing. That's another thing is you need to take the thoughts captive. You got to say, I silence the voice of the enemy every time you hear a negative thought that comes in,
Come on.
because most people don't do that. So when I take a person through a session of healing and deliverance, I always end it, say, listen, you need to start practicing taking thoughts captive. Because if you do not do that, you'll hear a whole bunch of whispers from these demonic spirits, and they'll cause you to have fear and anxiety and anger and bitterness and jealousy and to try to get you to back into triggering again.